welcome to another video. Today, as you can tell from the title of the video, I'm bringing you my December wrap-up. It's a diddy one. I didn't read very much in December and I didn't read anything in November, so I was slumping a little bit towards the end of the year, and then the magical readathon Christmas at Hogwarts happened in December, of course, and if you watched my vlog for that, you know I didn't do too well, so my December wrap-up's pretty diddy, but as it's the last one of 2018, I thought I'd bring it to you anyway and just give you this little bit of extra content, I suppose. Although I didn't read very much, I enjoyed what I read. So that should be what counts, right? So let's kick this off. The first thing I read was Frostfire by Jamie Smith. This is a middle grade polar fantasy about a girl who gets to bond with a frost sliver. When she turns, is it 14? I think it's 14. The children from the village get kind of judged and chosen for like their future path, and the dream is to be chosen to bond with this magical mountain and kind of get a piece of magic from this magical mountain, and you have this sliver that kind of lives with you and is a living being and you're connected with it and it lends its power to you and so on. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars, so our main character obviously is chosen to bond with a frost sliver, and of course nothing runs smoothly. Everything goes topsy-turvy and our main character has to save the world on her own or with the help of her frost sliver, which is sometimes helpful, sometimes not. But I really enjoyed this. It was quite humorous and it was fluffy and it was fun, but it was also a polar fantasy, so I was bound to love it. The setting was so magical, and something that was really unique about this was the fact that the setting had a personality. The setting was a character. So the mountain, as well as being the signature of this landscape, you've got this massive ice mountain. It has a personality and it talks, and our main character obviously interacts with her sliver of it, which was really interesting. It was really unique. The magic was really unique and I just really enjoyed it. Yeah, so yeah, 4 stars. Didn't quite hit that 5-star mark for me, but you know I've been really picky with what does. But I did really enjoy it, and it's another middle grade polar fantasy that I recommend. Of course it's December, winter is upon us, so another polar fantasy. I eventually got to A Storm of Ice and Stars by Lisa Ludek. I always forget what this one is called. The first one is A Shiver of Snow and Sky. This one is A Storm of Ice and Stars. I always forget that name. But this is sort of a companion rather than a sequel. I thought it was going to be a sequel, but it's a companion to A Shiver of Snow and Sky. Again, polar fantasy set in these snowy landscapes with the mountains and just beautifully done. I love the setting of these so much. The characters, again, although it's a companion, so we have been following different characters in this one, they were equally as engaging. I grew to care for them, and I want more from this world. There's so much going on here. So if you're unfamiliar with it and haven't heard me talk about it before, essentially in this world the Northern Lights happen, and these Northern Lights are the message of the goddess, and when the lights glow red it means the goddess is warning them that something deathly is going to happen, and usually that means a plague. In the first one it didn't mean a plague. In this one it did mean a plague. There was a deathly plague that was going to sweep over the island and kill nearly everyone. Some other mishaps happen with our main character and she's just tossed out on her own, no idea what's going on, how to save anything, but of course she's going to try and save everything. And adventure ensues, magic ensues. Of course, as I said with the first one, you don't think there's magic, but there's magic. And oh, I love the contrast between this one and the first one, but I can't tell you what without spoiling it, but something towards the end of this really contrasts with what happened in the end of the first one, and I loved how they kind of mirror each other in that way. But yes, amazing books. I have fallen in love with Lisa Ludek as an author. The settings are just so magical. I've really enjoyed these couple of books, and I would read anything else that's published in this, I don't know, series, world, etc. I've loved it. I gave this one 4 stars as well, but it was a very similar story to the reason I gave the first one 4 stars. It was amazing and I loved it, but it just didn't quite hit that 5-star mark for me for one reason or another. For this one it was because the beginning was a little bit slow. It took me a bit to get into it, but I did then get into it and thoroughly love it. So yeah, really recommend that one as well. Polar Fantasy hype happened and ugh, lovely. That was also my prompt for finish your coursework for the magical readathon, which then led me on to Decorating the Trees with Hagrid, which was a book with gold detailing, which I read The Cruel Prince for. I've had this on my shelf for ages and honestly didn't think I was ever going to read it. Debated unhauling it, I just really didn't think I was going to like it. It didn't call to me for any reason. I just didn't think I was going to mesh with it at all. I wasn't excited by it. It then happened to be the only book on my shelf with gold detailing that I hadn't already read, so I picked it up and I read it. And oh boy am I glad I did, because I was so wrong about this. So wrong. I did end up really, really enjoying it. The beginning was a bit slow and I felt like not much happened, but despite nothing happening, I was still completely gripped by it. I was so immersed in the world and the story, despite there not being much happening, and just, I was completely sucked in, which took me by complete surprise. And then when things did start happening, I loved it even more, and just ended up really, really liking this. I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel for this, and it did completely just knock me out of the park and surprise me. Possibly my most surprising read of the year, because I expected to hate it, and I completely didn't. So yeah, I did end up giving it 4 stars. It wasn't that 5-star mark for me, mainly because it lacked plot a lot of the time. I felt like we weren't going anywhere, but I still gave it 4 stars. That's still a pretty solid rating from me, and I ended up really enjoying it. I feel like I don't need to tell you what this one's about. Everyone knows what this one's about. It's about the Cruel Prince, and it's set in Fairy, and there's this human girl who's been taken into Fairy and grows up with fairies, and there's a Cruel Prince. And then the last thing I read in December, my last book of the year, well, not even a book, comic, was Giant Days Volume 4. I love Giant Days. I've still been reading it. It was another great volume. In this one they make a film and there's some online dating happening that just goes horribly wrong, and just they're nearing the end of their first year of university in this one, so Esther's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Just dramas, but it's all fun, it's all funny, it's a completely non-committal, fun graphic novel. Takes like no time to read, and I really enjoy it. I have since read volume 5 as well, but I read that in January, so there you go. Anyway, that's everything I read in December. Quick wrap up, because I didn't read a whole lot, but I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. I hope you're enjoying yourself with whatever you're doing. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Chat to me down in the comments about all sorts and everything, whatever you like. If you aren't subscribed and fancy subscribing, I'm always eternally grateful for that. And I will see you next time. Bye!